Good morning, and so welcome on this International Women's Day, an opportunity for us to gather, to share stories, to be surrounded by the incredible stories that you see emblazoned on these panels that tell the struggles of women through the history of New York State. And it will always be a huge point of pride for all of us that the true fight for women's equality began nowhere else but in the great state of New York, in Seneca Falls in 1848. And I know you've all been there, and we need to take our daughters there. And my future granddaughter, who's due in 6 weeks, she's going to be going there. Just had to slide that in. Obviously, I'm very proud, but this is a day to celebrate. It's a day to look back in history and talk about, yes, the people who struggled, the women who had to face such adversity, who stood up against the tides of their time, regardless of what was going on. They marched forward. They are women who are sick and tired of being the property of men, who says, yes, I have a voice that needs to be heard. And that was literally a century and a half ago. But they were joined by other people, like-minded men who supported them, and let's not forget that as well. And people of color came together, people like Frederick Douglass, who appeared at the very first gathering in Seneca Falls in 1848 at a time when there were 300 people deciding whether or not they should push forward with the audacious idea that women should have the right to vote. It was actually Frederick Douglass who gave an impassioned speech calling for that right as well. So let's talk about and celebrate the journey we've been on, the journey to the right to vote. Yes, it happened in our state 3 years before most of the nation in 1917, and many of you gathered with us as we celebrate that spectacular day, the centennial, a few years ago. But then we marched forward and know that many women could not vote until the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Acts in the 1960s as well. So let's put an exclamation point on that accomplishment. And then we marched forward again. People like Shirley Chisholm, who, you don't know this, y'all think she's from Brooklyn? She's buried in Buffalo. I just wanted to get that out there. I used to see her when I was a young staffer on Capitol Hill and talk to her as she made her plane trips back and forth before she retired, but she married a gentleman from Buffalo and is in her final resting place there. So as a young person, I was inspired by the stories through history. Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Susan B. Anthony, Lucretia Mott, and countless others, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. But I also think about that great history where we are today in the context of what we're seeing literally in this room. My friends, you are living history because we have made tremendous strides in the advancement of women, but also the number of women in significant positions. Women in my administration, for example, and I have over 25 top-level women commissioners, and I said I'm going to go out and pick out the best and the brightest. Raise your hand if you're a commissioner. Raise your hand, women. There you are. There you are. I said, give me the best and the brightest, and that is what you see here, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you. And I also remember when I first took office and I moved into the executive mansion, I hadn't realized there was a giant portrait of FDR over the mantle, staring down at me with these very intense eyes. Talk about the weight of history on me. And I came back to my team and I said, I want my own Frances Perkins. I want a woman in the administration who's going to change the course of history by her brilliance and her compassion for lifting others up. So what you're seeing in my administration are the modern day Frances Perkins who are charting a different path for women as we go forward. So I'm so proud of them. But look at the progress we've made in the number of elected women. I love this. I love this. Yeah. I've been on this journey a long time. 27 years ago, I was the only woman on my town board. I got elected, I was the only woman in county office. There's still no woman in county office in where I come from. I went to Congress. Only 20% of Congress at the time were women. And then I was the only statewide woman elected official as lieutenant governor. And then I would look at the legislature. I was like, where are all the women in the legislature? My friends, Look at the difference between what we had just a couple of short years ago and the number of women who stepped up and said, I care about my community. I have passion in my heart. I want to run for office despite all the slings and arrows that are out there. And yes, they are sharp arrows, my friends. And this is not for the faint of heart. But shame on anyone who stands down because they don't think they have the courage or the toughness, because I'm telling you, you do. You have that deep within you. And when you care about something so passionately and so deeply, you will step out and run and deal with whatever comes your way, because we are women and we are tough. And I know that for a fact. And I want to recognize, just look at the accomplishments. I mean, let's start at the federal level. Did anybody notice that half of our senators are women? That would be Kirsten Gillibrand, okay? Half of our senators, half of our U.S. senators are women. And the fact that she's not the first, I like that even better. I don't want to be first anymore. I think we should just normalize the fact that women are in these top positions, and Kirsten Gillibrand is a strong ally. What about the fact that half of our statewide elected officials are women? And I was with our great Attorney General, Tish James, just yesterday, talking about this great accomplishment. And yes, I'm very, very proud to be the first woman governor in the state of New York, without a doubt, very proud. But our Senate Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, what a trailblazer she was. What a trailblazer. And when we sit down in a matter of days to work out a $216 billion budget, and she's not the only woman in the room anymore, we're going to outnumber the man. So let's do that. We're making some progress. She's my hero. And how about a majority leader in the New York State Assembly, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, Buffalo's own. Our state legislature, 40% up from 31% 2 years ago. I mean, that's extraordinary accomplishment. We got some more to go. We're going to get some more up there. We're coming at you. Even our city council, those of you from New York City. When I was first elected, I said, how many women are on the city council out of 51? Like 9 or 12 or 13? Are you kidding me? It's now 60% of the New York City Council. And my first and only appointment to the Court of Appeals, Judge Shirley Troutman, a woman of great integrity, and I don't know if she's here today, but we invited her. I'll be at her swearing in very soon, but we're so proud of her. So I will say that this happens with intentionality, but also with great rationality, because I want the most hardest working, dedicated public servants around me here, and I'm going to continue to lift up women who want to run for office. I will continue to sit down in faraway places across the state when a young woman who I think has incredible potential says, I'm not sure I want to run because what about my kids? What about this? And I said, no, I'm living proof. I ran when my kids are preschoolers. They still talk to me. You're going to be okay. It's going to all work out. And I also say, and I know there's nothing more powerful than mom guilt. I mean, it's strong, okay? I still have it for missing Katie's 7th birthday. I mean, she's in her 30s now. We'll get over that someday. But also, I tell these women, and I remind all of you, your job is not to raise children. It's to raise adults with a sense that their mom can do anything. Let them see you so they know there's no barriers for them. So that's what we are all living. We are part of that living history of breaking down the barriers once and for all, so no one will ever question the ability of a woman to be the Attorney General of the state of New York or the governor of the state of New York or any other position, because we have what it takes. And we break the mold of how people have governed in the past. Because as I said before, we are tough, we are tenacious, and don't mess with us. But we also have heart, and you get that combination out there fighting for affordable child care and education and taking care of our healthcare workers who've been through hell and back during this crisis, and I've seen it in the eyes of nurses who are just so exhausted. We connect with that. We have that sense of empathy. It's in our DNA. And we're going to continue fighting for gender equity throughout the state in every environment we can, and protecting women from harassment in the workplace. We're going to make sure that every workplace is a place that people feel welcome, that they can be lifted up and live up to their full potential. So I want to thank all of you for being part of history. And I'm so proud to be your governor, but more importantly, proud to be a New Yorker in a state that understands if women don't succeed and thrive in every area, then we will never reach our full potential as a state. So let's unleash the power of women, and it starts in rooms like this. Happy Happy International Women's Day. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge the host of all great events in Albany, and that is our Mayor, Kathy Sheehan. I want to thank her for everything she does. She's wonderful. And I have to always just say, when people are saying like, oh, they're mad at Albany for doing something, it's not Kathy, it's not the city, okay? So don't take it out on her. And now with this, I get a chance to have the great honor of introducing our next speaker, and that is our Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, who is as tough as nails. And she has become a dear, dear friend of mine because I admire strength in other women. And she inspires me, and we work so closely together, and that is part of a whole new era for New York. Ladies and gentlemen, Majority Leader of the New York State Senate, Andrea Stewart-Cousins.
Good morning. And she was saying Happy Independence Day. I like that. I think so. The last time I was here, Governor, you were the Lieutenant Governor. Crystal, I think you were heading the Women's Caucus. And I think somebody else put together a quick little thing for us to kind of say hi, to check off the day. And then we went about our business. And here we are in 2022, first woman governor, first woman leader, first majority leader of the Senate woman. Look how quickly it has changed. Look how quickly we have been able, because of the broad shoulders we stand upon, and the courage, the tenacity, the understanding that there's more to this than power, and that the power that we bring is within us. And the fact that it has taken so long to get to these spaces, the resistance was only there because the power is so great. So yeah, it's International Women's Day. It's a day for us to remark on where we've come. It's a day for us to thank those who came before us. It's a day for us to resolve to support the women in our lives who will continue to make the changes that will turn the war room into the peace room. That's what we do. We are starting from a place of strength, a place of power, a place of empathy, and we can't lose that momentum. We have to keep the momentum going. So, on this day, let me just thank all of you for being sisters in the struggle in so many ways. All of these great new faces with the agenda that is focused on making lives better. I want to shout out the women who serve with me. Crystal is going to talk about the Assembly majority, which is much bigger. But nobody thought the Senate. The women from the Senate who are here, please come in front, just come in front. Nobody thought that there would ever be in this very traditional body such an amazing, we have 19, so we've got our 30%. Because they say, you know, you can't even change anything unless you get 30%. But we have that. Nobody thought we would. And so I want to celebrate the women that I served with. And who's here is Senator Ramos, Senator Mayer, Senator Kaplan. I think I saw Senator May, Senator Kruger. And please give them a round of applause. Applauso, applauso. They are heading up committees that are changing lives and creating spaces and places for people who never, ever, ever, ever got heard or were cared about before. That's what each and every one of you do. And of course, it's a privilege for me to serve with the governor, and yes, we will sit around. We were trying to figure out, how we get this done on time so that we can actually get it done on time. But what I say is that we're not starting from a place where we've been starting from years ago, and you all are shaking your head. You know what I'm talking about. We are not starting from a place of where can we cut, how much pain. We're not starting from there. And with your continued support, we will continue to make sure that the assessment of what we do will not be measured in pain. It will be measured in progress. It will be measured in empathy. And it will be measured by the path that we lead for the next generation and the next generation. Speaking of my good friend in the other house, as she's the majority leader there, and like I said, I have 63 people. My counterpart is the speaker, Carl Hastie. But because they have like 150 people, somebody has to be the one to make sure that all those folks are present, accounted for, and doing what they need to do. And so when the speaker decided on who that would be, he took a woman who, again, I'm tough as nails, that's what the governor said, and she's the governor, okay. But when the speaker picked the majority leader, he looked at somebody who had intelligence, who had grit, who had wisdom, who was a listener, who understood what could make things go smooth and how to make sure that everything that was necessary to do, and even things that were really hard to do, like cannabis, got done. And that's my friend, my sister, Assemblywoman Majority Leader, Crystal Peoples-Stokes.
Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? First of all, can I tell you that I want to honor God, because I already know that if it wasn't for him in my life, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I don't know how you all feel about it, but that's where I'm at. And I want to honor Speaker Hastie. I've served under multiple speakers, but I've never served under one like this man, Carl Hastie. I want to honor him because he didn't have to select me to be the majority leader. He had some other options, but he did choose me, and I honor him for that. And I also want to honor him because the other women that are in leadership positions in the Assembly, he picked women to lead the Ways and Means. He picked a woman, Luann Sekearney, to be his secretary. He understands the value of what we bring. And so we're 51 strong. There might be all of us in here right now, but I need you guys to circle me right up here, right now, all of y'all. 51 Assembly members that are women. Come, ladies. Come. Can y'all fit up here, or will this thing fall down? Let's stand up here. I want everybody to see you. And by the way, I work with a lot of great men who provide for me wisdom, they provide for me direction, they provide for me support, but there's nothing like my sisters that stand with me here today. There's nothing like my sisters. I am super honored by them. And I want to say, as we celebrate International Women's History Day and Women's History Month, that it's really kind of strange that as the nurturers and the people who get things done in communities across the world, that we have to be honored specially. There's no day like that for men. There's no month like that for men. That speaks volumes to who we are and what we do. And so I also want to honor my friend, who happens to be the governor of the state of New York, Kathy Hochul. I have known this woman since I first started out in political work, and her character, her value, her support, her honesty, her integrity has never changed. It's never waffled. And when difficult issues come before her, she still stands strong. And it's something that I admire. And I know that little girls all over the state of New York are watching what she does, watching what we do, and understanding that there's a place for them in this part of life. Even if you don't desire to be a legislator or a governor or a congressperson. By the way, there's only one black woman in the state of New York that represents us in Congress. Is something wrong with that? Yes. We got to work on that. But little girls all over can see what the possibilities are for them because of what we're able to demonstrate here. And I'm just so honored to be in a position where we can provide that as a demonstration project. You can do anything you want to do, little girl. You can do anything you want to do. It is not just your role to be the mother, the housekeeper, the caregiver. That's not just your role. It's your role to be the lawyer, the doctor, the governor, the president. It's your role to be exactly what you desire to be. We all have an opportunity to show little girls that, and I believe that at some point, we're going to be celebrating International Women's History Day and Women's History Month, and we're going to need a bigger stage. We're going to need a bigger stage. And perhaps one of these days we'll be celebrated every day, 365 days of the year, and we'll have to pick a day for the men to be celebrated. You all have a great day and stay blessed.